Besides this concept of just under resource, um, what are some of the other mistakes that you see executives make in the channel? Maybe they've established a program, things are working, they're okay, they're chugging along. What are some of the pitfalls, the things that our listeners can try to avoid? Lessons learned.
Okay. All right. So, focus on, when it comes to the lessons, focus on the systems, the processes, and the people. Okay. So the lessons are always keep an eye on those three particular things. Make sure you have systems make sure you have systems, make sure you put the processes around the systems, make sure you have the people aligned to the processes and the systems. And if you keep an eye on those three things, you're fine. What happens and what there's a lot of mistakes that can be made, but what happens is when the eye is taken off of one of those three things. And so, for instance, we see it a lot. We see people go into and they implement systems and they put processes around that, and then they just expect their people to operate efficiently. And it never happens that way. So they don't train their people, they don't get them up and running, they don't enable them effectively. And then we can say the same thing around other areas. They get some people in there that are just rock stars when it comes to the channel, and they understand it, but they don't put the processes or the systems in place to help support them. They just expect them to go out there and just to magically build the whole thing. So the mistakes are they take their eye off those three components, one or the other, or a combination of two.
So imagine, you don't need to say what the name of your organization is by any means, but I think it'd be great to hear a success story. It'd be great to hear about an entity that maybe you or your teams work with. um, that's just an awesome happy ending channel story. Do you have something like that you can share with us?
Oh, I have a ton of them actually. We can make this podcast last for a long time, and I'd love to. But so let me give you some real recent ones. All right, so I'll give you two examples. Well, so the last couple of years, the transition to the cloud has been a very difficult transition for partners in general, right? So what we did is we focused on, from a channel perspective, not just building out a channel. We do that all the time with people, but this was a younger channel. They had some components to it, and what they wanted to do was enable their partners. They had a cloud-based offering, enable their partners to better understand how to sell in the cloud, basically, and how to sell subscription-based offerings. So the key to all of that was we had to understand, basically where are they at now, their current state, and then where are they going, their ideal state. And once we understood that, we understood the gaps that were associated with getting them there. And then what we did is we turned around and we developed a set of 30 tools, basically. It sounds like a lot, but you'll get to, you'll understand kind of where I'm going at with it. And once we had these tools assembled that focus on these different areas, then what we were able to do is take each partner that this vendor had, and we're able to run them through what we call the maturity model. Help them understand where they stood as it relates to effectively selling cloud solutions. What was their maturity in sales, for instance? What was their maturity in marketing? What was their maturity in operations? And it was a scale. And once they understood where they stood on the scale, then we had the tools that we had developed aligned to that. So therefore, they were able to take a journey and very systematically start to do one thing after another. And what I mean by one thing after the other, for instance, how do they ask better discovery questions as it relates to a subscription based offering or a cloud based offering? What are the questions that they need to ask, and how can their salespeople ask those questions better? Some very, very elementary, tactical things that they could do. And what happened was that they were able to close deals faster. They're able to find more customers because they start to go through the marketing part of it and understand how they can market better. And their overall businesses became a lot more effective and efficient. Right. So that's one scenario with a vendor doing this.